Good evening, mamas. This is Devin with Homeschool House Calls and Professional Home Educator. And tonight we're in two groups. We're in Professional Home Educator and we're in Homeschooling Super Moms with Susan. Hey, Susan. And
Hey.
we are very lucky. We have Erin from Erin's Gulf Coast Homeschool Adventures. Yes, we are lucky. She's going to talk to us about world geography. She's done this one before, but we had some new, I think there was some new stuff coming out. And I'm like, hey, let's do an update. So it's really exciting because she's so good. I think she's fabulous.
Yeah, we're excited to have her. Hey,
Thank you,
Erin.
thank you, thank you, thank you. Hi, everybody. Hello. I'm actually going to do some tips on world geography and states. So I've got kind of something for both of those. If you wanted me to just go ahead and get started, just jump right in. Okay. So geography is often defined in terms of two branches. So you have human geography and physical geography. So human geography deals with the study of people and their communities, their cultures, economies, and their interactions. With the environment by studying their relations with and across space and peace. That's the dictionary definition there, y'all. And physical geography deals with the study and processes of patterns in the natural environment like the atmosphere, hydrosphere, biosphere, and geosphere. So that's Wikipedia for you. So that's kind of the two technical terms of geography. But for the purpose of this, we're going to be working on human geography more than anything. That's kind of what my focus is. Here, it's my favorite thing, right up there with history, is learning human geography and learning how. I love to see how people act around the world and how they celebrate their great things and how they mourn their sad things and kind of how they live every day. That was my least favorite thing in history, was you learned everything was dates and wars, right? I really wanted to know how the people lived and how they interacted. So with that in mind, that's kind of how we're going to start this. I'm going to start smaller and start with U.S. geography. One of the things we did when we were getting started, this is kind of for younger kids, maybe elementary level, but you can definitely do it with older kids. You just might have to tweak it a little to make it feel a little bit older. But we used Flat Stanley. I'm sure y'all have seen his books. You can get his free printable on his website. And it was great. So you mail him off somewhere to a family member or a friend that lives somewhere else in the country, and they take pictures of him in different places. So we have Flat Stanley in Colorado, and we have Flat Stanley in Virginia, and we had Flat Stanley go to Oklahoma. I think he went to California, but the best place he went to Disney. So a friend of mine, and this is where it's kind of fun and you can bring in the older kids, and we really realized older kids could enjoy it, was they took him to Disney for their trip, took pictures of him with them on the rides. He got his own first trip to Disney button. The Disney people gave him his own first trip to Disney button. And he came back with, we even made him his own little Mickey ear. So it was a lot of fun, and you learn a lot about the geography of places, and you almost feel like you're there. But you have to have people who are willing to play along with that. So we have a lot of friends and family all over the country, and so that was a lot of fun. And then we sort of mapped it out on a map that we had hanging on the wall forever. I have maps all over my house, so that was pretty easy. I should stop here though real quick and tell you that all of the resources that I am going to discuss today, I have on a blog post that we will share when this is over. So clicky links and everything to make this super easy, some pictures so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. I have tried to do the screen share on this and it never works well, so I'm not even trying tonight. I'm going to have to do some dry run practices of that because I can't quite seem to get a grasp on that. But I've got all of that for you in an easy blog post, so you don't even have to go find it. I've kind of already gathered it all in one place for you. So all of this will be there. When it comes to studying the states, there seems to be two paths that people either take. They either teach the states by alphabet, or they teach them by when they joined the Union. So you got the first 13, of course, and then you kind of go from there. We chose, especially when you're dealing with geography, we chose to start with as they came into the Union because it was such a better visual of where they were. So you were really seeing where they came in and how it spread across. So it was a really great visual way for him to not only keep track of who came first and what came second, but where they were on the map. So that was really great. That's how we did that. Another great show for them to watch is How the States Got Their Shapes. You can find these usually on YouTube. I have the link. I've got to check and see if it's still good. But you could find this show on YouTube, How the States Got Their Shapes. It was really interesting to see how the lines got drawn, what separates the states, how there was some contention over some states' lines. So How the States Got Their Shapes was really interesting. That's probably a little bit more for older kids, middle, high school. Upper elementary could probably enjoy that. Your younger elementary will get stuff from it, but definitely middle and high school will definitely get a lot from that. Creating a notebook. This was fantastic. No matter what you're doing, I highly recommend creating a notebook. They have a ton of free printables for this. We used this one set for each state, which was, it had a sort of a grid pattern to it, and it had a place to put the state quarter, and a place to draw the state flag, and a place to draw the state flower and bird, and a few other things. So that it really, memory, they say there's a lot to be said for writing and drawing things instead of just typing it into the computer. And so this was a great way to really connect all those visual components for kids to remember. Justin still remembers all these years later several of those things that we did. I have the links to the ones that I used. There are several on Pinterest that you can find in different layouts. Just find the one you like best. And we kept track of that. You don't even have to buy flashcards. So if you go to Crayola.com, they have a free coloring page, which is a really cool color page. All their coloring pages are really cute for the states. They have the state name, of course. They have the state capital. Then they have the bird for you to color and the flag for you to color and all of that, the flower for you to color. But then they also have flashcards. And so I printed out the flashcards. They're bigger. They're almost 4x6, if I remember correctly. And he got to color them, and then we laminated them. I cheat and use clear contact paper, but we laminated them with the clear contact paper. And then so every week as we went through, we would pull them up and refresh. Okay, remember this? Which one was this? Which state looked like this? And so that was a great thing to use. And it seems young. You start talking coloring pages and you start thinking little kids. But, they have adult coloring books for a reason. So I think even your bigger kids would probably enjoy, coloring these coloring pages and doing that. I think they would still have fun, and it would make for a little bit of an easier day, and it, kind of a throwback to what they used to do. So another thing that we did for each state, which was so much fun, is we found things that each state was known for. So, of course, Pennsylvania was one of our favorites because Pennsylvania has Hershey's. So you have to learn about chocolate and eat chocolate because you're learning about Hershey, Pennsylvania. The Magic Treehouse books are also set in Pennsylvania. What the big holiday we just had, the groundhog, Punxsutawney Phil. Did I say that right? I mean, I've said that right. I shouldn't have braved that. He's in Pennsylvania, so we did some of the Groundhog's Day stuff and those things. We actually practiced our math by buying and selling mini candy bars that week. So that week, I had a pile of mini Hershey's candy bars, which my husband loved that week too. And I had a list of prices, and he had to buy the candy bars. So for Delaware, their state bug was the ladybug, and we made peach floats and crab cakes for Delaware. And New Jersey was a lot of fun too, because New Jersey had the first drive-in movies. So we made little box cars because he was little at that time. So we made little box cars, and he sat in his box car with his popcorn and he watched his movie. And they had honeybees, or their state bug.
Wait, there.
Right. So there's a lot you can do with that. And there's a lot you can do with that no matter the age. So a lot of this stuff I'm giving you really is a no matter the age kind of a thing. Maybe you do a drive-in, you try and do something, set it up in your driveway with your neighbors, and y'all come and do something, or go visit the honeybee farm, which is what we're going to do in the adventure group next month. So, you can really sort of make that as old or as little as you want to make it, depending on what age you're kind of gearing it towards. So He really liked that part. Now, that was literally just going onto Pinterest and going, what are these states known for? So that's a little bit of work on your part, but there's a lot to be found there. Mail. Kids love to get mail. Nobody gets snail mail anymore, right? Everybody used to get excited about emails. Now everybody gets excited about snail mail. So I have a link on here, and it's to every state. There's one for every state, and it's basically their tourism department is what does it, and they will send you stuff from every state. This varies depending on the state, what they send you. Some of them send you full-size maps, state maps. They're going to send you brochures for places to visit, and then brochures for, places to eat, and, everything you could want to know about the state because they want you to come visit. So they're going to send you all that kind of stuff, and it's free. And it's not disingenuous because you might go visit. You might pull out one of those things and go, man, now I really do have to go to Pennsylvania and visit Hershey's because they have all this other stuff that I have to go see too. So we ordered those. Now, if you're going to do that, that's going to take some pre-planning. Keep that in mind. It takes 4 to 6 weeks for those things to get in. So if you decide you want to incorporate that into your planning, make sure you're kind of thinking about that in your stuff and in your timing. So the downside to that, I even put this in my notes because it was a downside, was you will have a lot of stuff to throw away. And you won't want to throw it away because it's a lot of neat stuff. But eventually I had like 3 cubby holes full of state stuff. And I was like, I can't keep holding all this. I think I kept it for about 3 years because it was just such neat stuff. But what am I going to do with, as much as I love maps, I can't put a full-size map for every state on my wall. That's just not going to work. So that's the only downside to that, was that my cat's going to come in here and start talking to us now. There is another site to visit that has 3D printables. And I say that and everybody's going to think you have to have the machine. They're not for the machine. These are paper printables. You print them out on cardstock and then you fold them into 3D shapes. And so they have the Eiffel Tower, which is more world geography, but they have the Statue of Liberty, they have the Empire State Building, they have Golden Gate Bridge. So that's kind of a neat one. You can kind of check. They have Mount Rushmore, the White House, Wrigley Field, the Chrysler Building. I'm glad I put all those in. I wrote them down so I'd have them to tell you. But they have all of those that you can print out, and then you can kind of fold them into 3D shapes, and the kids can play with them. So that's cool. And if you have bigger kids, they can do the folding. So it's a little more complicated for them, and they can still really kind of enjoy that. And then keep them as keepsakes. If they like it, they can keep it on the shelves. Cooking your way through the states. That was fantastic. So we found 50 best recipes from every U.S. state and the best recipes from every state. I have those 2 links for you on the blog. And so you can kind of go through and cook your way through. Now, we did peach floats, I think, for Georgia, because, they're known for their peaches. So I think that's what we did. So we did a lot of different foods. We did the crab cakes for Delaware, and that was interesting. And he tried them. Okay, now that's the coolest part, I've got to tell you, is because you're doing it kind of as a theme and as an exciting new thing, he actually tried things he never would have tried before. He never would have tried crab cakes if I just made him for dinner. But because it was part of Delaware, then it was suddenly very exciting and very thrilling to try those things. You can look through the 2 links I sent. I think I picked 2 really good links of very simple foods. Some of them get very foodie. So they might not be foods that you really want to cook because they might be a little bit much as far as getting ingredients and things like that. So definitely check kind of beforehand. But I think the 2 links I provide stuff you could actually cook and your kids might actually eat. So I think that's what I got for you on there. I included a YouTube video, Learn the 50 States. It's a short video of each of the states and what they do. It's a kind of a compilation. Each video is 1 state. It's like 3 minutes long, and it really goes through kind of all that stuff too. So you can throw that in there. And so you can kind of keep building this out and building it out. I can keep going and keep building as the ideas came. But those were my favorite things. Those are the things that really worked well together. I hope I didn't throw too much at you right there. That's a lot of information. There's a YouTube video for the state songs. So that's a good one to do and sing and learn. He would do his and sing that every day until he kind of knew it. But yeah, so all of those are good. YouTube, of course, is going to have a ton of videos of anything you could possibly think of. But this gives you a good mix of hands-on and video and reading products. If you get those things from the tourist departments, they're really going to have a lot of stuff for you to read and the history. So that'll really help you see, do they have mountains? Do they not have mountains? Is this more of a, desert area of the country? It'll really kind of help you see what that looks like and what that weather is. So does anybody have any questions on anything that I said about states? There's also an app, Stack the States. Stack the States is fun. Get that app. That's a great app to play. They don't realize they're learning as they're playing Stack the States. But as they see the shapes, it really starts just kind of clicking into the back of their head. So Stack the States is a good one. Yep. Somebody else has used the Crayola pages. The Crayola pages are really well done. They are very well done. They don't look cheap. They don't look cheesy. They are very well done coloring pages.
We just added, I always get them backwards. Doug and Melissa, or is it Melissa and Doug? Floor puzzle of the U.S. So awesome. And most of the states are in their shape. So it's like you put the outside.
You use the little bitty ones.
The little bitty ones. They're all together. But,
and you can almost always find puzzles at the Dollar Tree of the country of the U.S. You can almost always find those. So those are of course neat. And the kids put them together. Then you can seal them up and hang them on the wall, and then they feel like they did it, and then they've got it hanging on the wall. So that's a neat one too. So, all right. Well, we can come back if anybody has any questions. But I'm going to go ahead and move on to world geography. I'm going to try and slow down.
Great information on the states, Erin. Thank you.
Awesome.
I feel like I'm talking too fast. Y'all wave at me if I'm moving too quickly.
You're doing great.
So, in keeping with the previous theme, this can be as simple or as much as you want. It can be as, you can keep that as simple or as big and as flowery and as add many projects as you want. I tend to stray off rabbit trails with my kids, especially in history and social studies and in science. So all of the social studies and sciences, we tend to hit rabbit trails. So, but what's helpful, especially when you're doing geography or history, is to have a path to follow. All-in-One Homeschool has great paths. And these are going to be great even if you have high schoolers. There is an allinonehighschool.com. That's a great resource. But allinoneHomeschool.com, which is the lower grades, will give you the timeline or the geography to kind of follow, to start at one end and end at the other, so that you're not needing to backtrack and things. And really, you just need it for that. So they have history and geography grades 1st through 8th. So that's just great to give you something to follow. If you're looking at all this and going, okay, this is all great, and it sounds like a lot of fun, but where do I start? And where do I go along the path? That's going to give you a great path to go from. So you're not kind of freewheeling it. I will freewheel it, but not everybody is quite as willing to go that crazy as I am. So, but that's something you can use to kind of keep you on a path and make you feel a little more secure that you're covering everything you feel like you might need to cover. Something that we started using shortly after we did the last video was called Let's Go Geography. Now, almost every resource I've given you up to this point has been free. I like free resources. Those are my favorite resources. But this one did have a cost. It's $16.99 for one semester or $27.99 for the entire year. It's 32 weeks of lessons, and this is in world geography. It's really thorough. And again, it keeps you on a track. So it's going to tell you what you're going to do next. You don't have to come up with it. When we were doing world geography, we just sort of went, okay, what country do you want to do next? Okay, let's do the next one. And he just sort of picked what seemed interesting to him. That's not everybody's favorite thing to do. So what was neat about this was it kind of took something off of my plate. A lot of the lessons were already there. I didn't have to worry about doing all of them. So I really did enjoy using that resource. So Let's Go Geography is what it's called. Very homeschool friendly. Not all programs are homeschool friendly. This one was. You do get a free lesson. So they do have a free lesson that you can download and check it out and kind of get an idea of what it looks like. And really for $16.99 for a half a year, you're not really out a whole lot if you even do half a year. So it's not too bad. But I did enjoy that. Something that my son does, and he still does this, we still do this, it's kind of incorporated into our daily lessons, is he visits a museum every day for 20 minutes. So if you go to Google Arts and Sciences /collections, that's important because you need to get there, there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of museums around the world that you can tour virtually. So if you're familiar with Google Maps and Street View, how you can get down on the streets and you can walk down a road and you can look side to side and see the houses, and you can go forward, you can turn around and go backwards and see everything that everybody else sees when on the street. This is what they've done in these museums. And one of the things when they first started doing, they showed a guy with, if you've ever seen the Google car with the round thing on the top of it, it was a guy on a bicycle with it on his helmet, and he was riding a bicycle through these museums with this ball on a helmet. And so that's one to look up for the kids to see how they did it. But since then, they got a really cool machine that they push through this. But it's neat because the kids can choose what museum they want to go to. They can choose which direction they want to go in the museum. They can zoom in on artifacts and pull out. They have information under it on the different artifacts. But this gives them a sense of control over what they're doing. For him, he gets to go wherever he wants to go. We go to a lot of natural history museums. Natural history museums have dinosaurs. So we go to a lot of natural history museums all over the world. That's the big thing for him. But they have all kinds. Now, the caveat to this is they have all kinds of museums. And there are some that you're probably not going to want your younger kids to visit. So you definitely want to maybe get them to show you what they want to look at, maybe get a quick preview beforehand. And again, you're visiting art museums. So a lot of older art has a lot of naked people. So you've got to be comfortable with the fact that they're probably going to see things like that, because that's just what, a lot of art has. He loves the natural history museums because he likes to see all the animals, honestly. So, but what we were able to do was take this, what I've done for adventurers, and say you can do this, but if you're in the adventure group, you already have access to this, is I went through all of those hundreds of museums and sort of categorized them by country. So if you're studying Germany, here's a list of Germany museums. And if you're studying Italy, here's a list of museums in Italy. Back to the United States, if you're studying this United States, they're going to have presidential libraries. You can tour the White House. You can tour different other presidents' homes and things like that. So you can really kind of visit and see all this kind of stuff. But it's really neat when you're doing world geography, because you're going to see those cultures represented in their art. And in the stuff that they have displayed in their museums. So I highly, highly recommend Google Arts and Culture. What's great about it, like I said, you can just have it as an assignment of every day. Pick a museum tour. They feel like they have control over it. That really gives them a good feeling, and they usually run with that kind of thing. So I highly recommend that one. I have links to that. What you're going to look for is when you click on the museums, all of them are not tourable. When you click on a museum, they're going to have a cover photo. And if on the bottom of the cover photo, there's a little person icon, that means you can tour it virtually. If it doesn't have that, you're not going to be able to. So if you're clicking on it, you're like, this thing isn't doing what she said it would, it's got to have the little person icon for it to work. So that's the one thing you need to look for. Again, food. Always great. Always a great way to study countries and different places. One of my favorite things for this is World Market. We use the World Market locally, and we've gotten so much stuff from so many different countries. And they have drinks, and they have candies, and they have meals, and they have snacks, and just anything you could think of, breakfast foods. And all you have to do is when you go, just flip over what you're looking on the back, and it's going to tell you on the back exactly what country it's from. But even easier, if you're looking for specific, so you're studying Scotland, you can go to their website and search Scotland, and it'll pull up what all foods they have from Scotland. So it makes it super easy for you. And you can know before you even get there. You can check and see if that store has it available. We kind of had fun going, and maybe they learned a little bit more having to flip it over and look and read the stuff anyway all by themselves. So that's what we usually did. But you can, if you want to make your life easier, check beforehand, see what they have. They had so many countries. As a matter of fact, that was actually their Christmas a couple years ago, and they asked me to do it this Christmas, and I didn't get around to it, and I felt so bad. So we'll definitely do it next Christmas. But a couple Christmases back, I did a box for each of them of each of their favorite countries. So I did an Australia box and a Canada box and a Japan box. Those were their favorite, not U.S. countries, of course, of other countries, and they filled it with drinks and all kind of stuff. And they really did enjoy it. They actually asked me to do that again. So that's the kind of thing that it has a big impact when they ask you to do it again. So World Market is great. It's not free, but it is whatever you want to end up spending when you go to World Market. Now, there are subscription services. Devin, help me remember the name. I used it forever, and now as soon as I started talking, of course, it stopped. It left my brain.
Universal Yum.
Universal Yums. Yes, we did Universal Yums. Great. You could even do just a small box. It's $15 a month. They send it to you. They do a 15, 25, and 30. Bless you, Devin. They do a 15, I think, 25 and 30-ish dollar box of stuff, and they send you a random country every month. That's great if you don't mind. And they'll let you know the month. So in January, you're going to know what you're getting in February, and in February, you know what you're getting in March. So you can plan ahead. So you could do the subscription service and plan your world geography around that subscription service. They have some really interesting foods you're not going to get as easily around here. So
that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, it's great stuff. And we don't try and get one for each kid. Get one box for your whole house, because everybody's going to usually try a little bit of each thing, especially when it's really weird stuff. Because there's some stuff that you're like, I don't think that should be a thing. And so they're going to try one or two of those, some kind of weird flavored chips or something, or and then at Christmas, they give you a box that's Christmas around the world. So that's a lot of fun because everything is from a different country. And all of it's pretty good because it's all sweet. So it's all tastes good. So that one's a lot of fun too. But that's a really great service to take advantage of. I highly recommend that one. My cat's talking to us. I don't really know why he is. He just feels like he needs to have a conversation with us. Okay. Another thing that we've used, and this is actually one of my sons. I say all this stuff is one of my son's favorite. I probably got to stop saying that. He loves all of this extra stuff. He wants anything that is not sitting down and writing on a worksheet. You mean Mom's found another cool thing I can go visit that I don't have to do a worksheet? Great. So he's real big onto that. But the live animal cams, we've actually done these since he was 3. We started when he was 3. When we started when he was really little, we did countries in like preschool. That was part of our preschool. We didn't really do any kind of curriculum, but we did learn new things. And so we did countries.
We had a world market question. Where would that go for high schoolers? Is it the same for all ages at World Market? It would be the same for all ages.
Yeah, but same for all ages.
It's food items.
Yeah, so World Market's just like a store. I wouldn't say grocery store because they have up in the front part, it's almost like a Pier 4, Pier 1, whatever that store was.
Sure.
And it's kind of like that in the front with neat stuff. And then in the back is where they keep a lot of the food stuff. And so any age can participate. If they're too young to read, obviously, then you're going to just do it yourself. But if they're older, then they can kind of go around and you can assign them a country. We're doing Scotland. Go find the things that are from Scotland. So that's open to all ages. World Market is. It's definitely doable with all ages. I've done it with my preschooler and all the way up. So the live animal cams, we started out with panda cams when he was learning about China when he was real little, 3-ish. When he got to upper elementary, we were doing this again. You kind of circle back around to each thing as they get older. We came back to this in upper elementary school. And we found cameras in Africa, and those were his favorite. World Market, if you're in Mobile or Daphne, it is local. They do have online if you don't have one local. So depending on where you are, that's going to depend. If you're in Mobile or Daphne, where we are, there's one in each. But otherwise, World Market will be depending on where you are. But they do have stores, but you can get it online too. You can order from online too. So, but the Africa cams are his favorite. Now, the thing with these cameras are you have to be cognizant of time zones. So if you want to watch the sunrise in Africa, that's going to be about 9:30-ish or 10:30ish, depending on where you are in daylight savings, to catch that sunrise. And you don't really catch the sun going up. You catch it right after it's come up. They open them at 6:30 a.m. They turn on the cameras at 6:30 a.m. Africa time. And it's the east coast of Africa. It's over there where the cameras are. And they have like 5 cameras. And so we've watched the hippos play, and we've watched the monkeys come out and play. It's sort of slow going. If you're wanting to really see some stuff, wait till about 7:30, 8:30 their time. That's when everybody's really awake. But you can hear the morning birds. It's really neat. And so we really enjoyed those cameras. And again, this is, if you're an adventurer, I've already gone through and done a bunch of this for you. I've got adventure cams, the live cams from around the world, and I've got learning resources to go with it. But anybody can find these. You really can. You just need to search. We've got, there's a camera in Australia with the reefs, and it's underwater and above water. So it's a 2-camera link. And you can watch the fish underwater, or the birds. It's always a bunch of seagulls above water. They got that right in Nemo. There are a ton of seagulls right there in Australia. There's the pandas that are in China. We have wolves in Ireland, which is very interesting. Now, that's an interesting one to teach them because there are no wolves in Ireland. That's a whole other thing. They drove out all the wolves in Ireland. So the wolves in Ireland are at a zoo in Ireland, and that's the whole thing about whether they're going to bring them back or not. So that's an interesting sort of thing to learn about history and geography of Ireland. We have, what else do we have? We have a bunch of different ones. We have Amazon rainforest. We have the birds in the Amazon rainforest. There's a camera for that. But you can really, once you really start looking into this, and Pinterest, if you just put in Pinterest live animal cams, there are blogs that are completely devoted to nothing but this. And they're going to take you to around the world. Now, what was important to me when I was doing world geography was finding cameras in the country. So you're going to find a lot of zoo cameras. So you can find just about any animal you want to watch on a zoo camera anywhere in this country. But I really wanted to see pandas in China. I really wanted that kind of experience for him. And even as little as he was when we did China, he was like 3 or 4. He was very little. You can see, because it's a sanctuary basically in China where these pandas are, and they have breeding programs and all this kind of stuff. And you could see kind of behind the fence people walking around, and he goes, "Mama, are those China people?" And he was so little, and it was so cute, but he was so excited that not only were there panda bears, but there were people in China right there that he was kind of seeing in a way that he'd never had before. So it really does make a difference, I think, to make sure. And it was a great chance to explain time zones. I'm sorry, honey, we can't look at the pandas live at 4 p.m. here. We have to wait until they wake up, so in China. So that was kind of part of it. Even that little, he was already starting to learn about time zones and how the world's going to turn and how it's going to change and that kind of stuff. So the live animal cams, I highly recommend. I'm going to have links to some on the website that you are going to be able to get to the blog. But like I said, you go to Pinterest and put in live animal cams, and you're going to get inundated with blogs that have a ton of them. So there's also a link, and if I don't have it in here, and I don't think I do, I will get it added to it actually before, as soon as we get off of here. But there's not just animal cams. Since we've done this last time, I have learned that there are cameras at major attractions around the world. So there's a famous fountain in Italy. And now, of course, I can't remember the name of it because I didn't put it in my notes. But it's a very famous fountain in Italy. And you can watch it all day. You can just sit there and watch it if you want to. But it was neat. At one point, I was watching it at one night. I turned it on just to see. And it was night and it was raining and there was nobody there, which, there's never nobody at this fountain. There's always hundreds of people there trying to take pictures. It's a fountain that's been in a ton of movies and things. And the police were there, and I was like, I wonder why the police are here. And it was drizzling rain. It was just really interesting to see. There's one for the Eiffel Tower. There's one for, I think there's one at Buckingham Palace that kind of looks over what's going on. But it's neat. You're there. To me, that's super exciting to be there in a way that, I will probably never be in some of these places. So there's also attractions that you can go visit that you're learning about and you're talking about with your kids of things. The Parthenon has one. There's one I know for the pyramids, and you can actually kind of move around the pyramids and look around almost like Google Earth. So that one was really a very cool one. I'll make sure to get that added to it. If you have kids that are really big into animals, I know we have a lot of animal lovers here too. So in addition to the animal cams, you should check out OSearch Tracker. OSearch Tracker is a website, and I've got the link to it, but if you put in OSearch, it'll come right up, where they have tagged different animals for research purposes, for breeding purposes, to see how they're doing, to make sure, just to track where they go. And they have, so far they've tagged 330 animals that you can watch. You can see the tagged animals' lifespans. They've got names. You can track their movements. It's really, really neat. And it's going to show you if the shark stays, right around the Florida peninsula, or where they go. They've got sharks and whales and sea turtles and all kind of ones. And your kids could just pick one. Now, that's a free website. We've enjoyed the heck out of that website. We've looked up and tracked and seen how many we could find. But there is another thing that you can do, which we just did this Christmas, so I know it's new to this information, is we got these bracelets. I'll get a link to that added to the thing too. The bracelets are $14.95, but they're forever doing buy two, get one free. And they have all kinds of animals. They have sea turtles and elephants and all kind of different animals. And for Christmas, I got my son and my nephew and one of my cousins each an elephant bracelet. They came out to $10 each because you buy two, get one free. And it came with the bracelet, which was neat, with the beads and the little animal on it. But they also got a card with a specific animal with that animal's name on it. And then it had a QR code. And when you scanned the QR code, it showed you where the animal had been. It was the tracker, just like the OSearch Tracker. But it also talked about, one of them had some really neat articles on that animal. One of the animals had been featured on like Time TV or something like that. So they had the interview for that animal. With the elephants, the tracking is delayed. So when you're looking at it, you're looking at the previous quarter, because otherwise the poachers would know where the elephants are and they would go after them. So it's not in real time. But it was really neat. So I framed little cards. So they have those, and every couple months he goes and he scans it and he sees where his elephant is. So that's really neat. So that's an additional one that you could do. And there is a cost to that, but the OSearch is free. And you can kind of, if you're learning about Africa, you can go to Africa, see which animals are tracking around Africa. If you're learning about the United States and the Eastern Seaboard, you can kind of go see what animals are tracking there. So, I'm sorry, I've got to remove somebody from my presence. Okay. The Geoguesser app is a really neat app. It's a lot of fun. I found a lot of fun. I find all of this fun, y'all may have noticed. So to me, this is all fantastic. You'll just kind of have to gauge it for yourself, how much fun you think these things are. But the Geoguesser app, it drops you down on Google Maps in a specific location, and you have to try and figure out where you are, just by taking in the local geography and taking in.
Frustrates me more than any other Google app. I can never figure out where I am.
You can do US, you can do world, you can do famous places. You can also do like famous, like they'll put you down in, by the Eiffel Tower or something like that. They're not easy. And sometimes once you guess, so you drop a pin on the map and you say, this is where I think I am, it tells you exactly how far off or close you are, depending on how bad it is. You might be half the world away, or you might be within a few hundred miles. I
am.
I like it if you get down the roadways and you can see a sign that tells you something, like, and sometimes I know in the US, sometimes they'll name, the store will be named something and you'd be like, oh, that's Idaho. I know that's Idaho, or something like that. Or they'll come in, the language is French. You're like, okay, well, I've narrowed it down to a country. We're maybe in France, maybe, or Canada, but maybe in France. So the Geoguesser app is really neat to kind of challenge the kids to pay attention to what the geography looks like around them, what the area looks like, and see if you can even guess where in the world that might be. Now, again, this is probably going to be for older kids, but I could see upper elementary really, giving it a go. They might not do great. You might have to warn them that it's very hard, but the Geoguesser is really a good one to check out. And I have on the blog post a link to 10 more geography apps. So just some random ones for you to try out if you want to do that. I have a link to the Animaniacs video that goes through all the countries. And I'm going to add a link to the updated Animaniacs video. So the man that does the voices and came up with the song for the Animaniacs video, some of y'all know what I'm talking about because you're old like me. Some of you are like, what is she talking about? But it's a cartoon. It's not very long. And he goes through and to a song, he points out every country in the world, every one of them. Of course, things change. And in the last, I think, 20-something years since that video was done, it's been updated. And that man actually came out with an updated version where some countries have changed and some are there that weren't there before or whatever. So I'll make sure to get the link to that added. But that's a fun one to really kind of, sometimes songs is what it takes. And if they just hear the songs over and over again, then that really, and if nothing else, even if they don't learn exactly where those countries are. Now, he goes through and he points them out on the map. As he's singing, he's pointing where they are on the world map. But the songs are going, okay, I know that's a country. Okay, I know that's a country. And so it's giving them that information at least, because there are some people that don't know what some countries are. So that's kind of a neat thing to just have them know. For the younger kids, PBS has a show called Let's Go Luna. That's a good one. You can check them out on the PBS app. There's another cartoon that we watch. Now it's escaping me, but there's several geography cartoons that you can watch. You can also go to YouTube and you can watch. There's kids going around the world that they're vacationing or they school around the world, or that's just how they live because they have this really cool blog. And you can watch those videos of the kids going to all these different countries. So those are neat YouTube videos to watch too. I promise I'm wrapping up here soon. I think I only have like 3 more things. I don't know how long I was supposed to be here today, but I'm wrapping this up, I swear. Lat books. If you haven't done a lat books are great. They're like scrapbooks, and you can do a little mini, like a page or 2 scrapbook per country. I will post the link in the comments of this video as soon as I get off. So you just come back to this video. You'll probably get a notification since you're commenting here that I've posted the link. So it should be there. But lat books are great. Homeschool Share has, I think, 1,000 lat books. I think is what their website says. They have 1,000 lat books, but they have a lat book that is for countries. So it's kind of blank, and you can fill in whatever countries you want to fill in to it. So it's great, but it sort of gives you squares of what's the flag, what's the per capita. It's neat. It's got the time zone. So what's the time where you are? What's the time in this country? So you can really kind of see those time zone differences. Population, they'll ask you for the population in the US and the population in the country that you're looking at. So that's neat. Sometimes very eye-opening for kids, because some of these countries, I know I was researching how big Norway was, for other reasons, but I was searching how big Norway was, and Norway has a population of South Carolina. So that's really eye-opening to kids to realize that just because it's a country doesn't mean it's the size of the United States. There are very small countries. So that was kind of a neat way that the lat books really helped. The other thing that the lat books have, especially at Homeschool Share, is they have books from different countries. So we did the Russian one, The Fool of the World and the Flying Ship, a Russian tale. There were several different Russian books that we looked at, and they have lat books to go with the Russian books. They have them to go with books from Germany. They have them to go with books from France. So, that can build and build and build. Again, you can bring that as big as you want, and they have a ton of information with that. But the scrapbooking the lat books almost become like the notebook for the States. And you don't have to put them. Usually, when you do lat books, you do them on a folders. You use folders, and you make them that way. You can do them as pages in a notebook, and just kind of keep track of it that way, and have it to go back and flip through later and look at. So Those are great. All-in-One Homeschool has a music for geography and culture, so learning the music of these cultures is fantastic. I know sometimes my son will listen to it and he thinks it's really weird. I'm like, but it's not weird to them. Our music sounds really weird to them. So really kind of exposing them to these other cultures and these other ways of dancing. Sometimes they dance very, very different in different countries, but definitely the music can sound very, very different. So the Google, the music, geography, and cultures. So it says the focus this year is on learning about instruments, families, and individual instruments. They will learn about how they make the music in all these different countries. So I highly recommend learning about the music of different countries. If that doesn't have exactly that, YouTube is going to have it and have the different dancing and that kind of stuff. One of the things we've added most recently, I swear I'm wrapping this up. One of the things we've added most recently is genealogy to our geography. So you can do that with US and with globe, with US and world. Of course, my family is mainly along the Gulf Coast, so we don't spread out a whole lot across the country. We started in South Carolina and kind of came straight down here. But then as you get further back, you're going to get out of this country. And so most people, at least on some line somewhere, even if you have Native American ancestry, you're probably going to get back out on some lines out into European countries. We have a lot of France. We have a lot of German. We have Canadian. That shocked me. And so it was neat to learn about how and why that happened. What happened that made these people leave Canada and come down here? What made these people leave Scotland to come down here? Sometimes it was geographical events. It was something to do with growth patterns and famines and things that struck that were of no cause by humans. It was because it was becoming uninhabitable. Why did they choose this area? What was so fruitful in this area? Well, they came here because the ports were here. You could get in here. So the waterways make such a difference. So once you do that, it really starts to make it personal too. Oh, my people came here. Oh, my ancestors. I'm here and in this location because these people who came before me. So what we will be doing this year is I bought a map just for this purpose. And I bought a box of pins, which of course is across the room where I show you a box of pins. It's got 8 different colored pins so that we can pin it and we can follow a line and see where they went. And we can kind of really see it. And as he's going, well, where in Germany were they? This little town in Germany. So using genealogy to it really makes it personal. So that's great. And really, I could do this all night. I really could. I'm so sorry, but I'm really going to wrap this up right now.
It's wonderful.
You can also, Teachers Pay Teachers is going to be a great resource. Every time you get to a holiday, you can look up Christmas around the world, Valentine's Day around the world, Halloween around the world, and see how these are celebrated and everything. Christmas around the world is eye-opening. Some of them, some of the countries do some crazy things, and you're just like, I never knew that. One of them has a witch. One of them has a witch, not a Santa. And so it's not crazy to them, of course, but to us, it's very eye-opening that different cultures do all these different things. So the same thing with Halloween, and then you learn some things, like we learned that Hanukkah isn't Christmas for Jewish people, which was a misconception I held for entirely too long, and it's not even one of their major holidays. So it was, once you start digging into this, you really learn so much. But Teachers Pay Teachers is going to have a ton of resources. And what's great about them is you can plug in your age groups that you're schooling and how much you're willing to pay. So I put free in a lot. And if I don't find what I'm free, I sort of bump it up to the $5 and see if I'm willing to pay that much for the resource. So that's what's great about Teachers Pay Teachers. And you're going to find a ton of free printables. Scrafty, which is Minecraft homeschool. Using Minecraft to teach geography is great. The kids can really use that for a lot of things. Anyway, so that's pretty much what I've got for you on the blog and what I've got for you today. Like I said, I could do this all day long.
Fabulous at it.
It's wonderful. What great information. And it's for all the different age groups.
Yep.
I know. And it's something that you can, when you have a wide variety of ages, you can make it work for everybody.
And it's amazing what the little kids will pick up on that you don't really think they do. I know when I do a lot of field trips and they get really confused and they're like, I don't know what grade to teach at. And I'm like, shoot for 4th or 5th grade And the older kids are going to get something out of it. It might be easier for them, but that's okay too. Sometimes it doesn't always have to challenge them to no end. It can be easy. That's okay. The middle-aged kids, that's going to be right on target. And then for the little kids, there's stuff they're going to pick up. So if you're just kind of looking at it like, I've got all these age ranges and I don't know what to do, hit about a 4th or 5th grade level, and you'd be amazed at what they will all retain from about that.
That is awesome.
Yeah, Erin, this has been wonderful information. Thank you.
Fabulous. Every time she teaches, she's always fabulous.
If anybody has any questions and they can write them in the comments, I'll come back and answer them. So if you're watching this later, tag me in the question though, because I may miss it. Sometimes Facebook's weird unless you tag me. So if you have questions, feel free to tag me and I'll come back and answer them.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Erin.
Erin, wonderful. Thank you. Gave lots of people lots of ideas. So thank you so
for having me.
I know.
That was great.
I'm looking forward. I'm going to put some into practice for Elysia.
Yeah, what a fun way to learn.
To learn things and do things.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to wrap this up, mamas. If you have questions, you can put them in the comments. Erin is in our groups. She's one of our mamas, and you can tag her. And
Erin's going to drop the link in below the videos.
Yeah, she'll drop the link, and you will be able to find it. But y'all have a great night.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. Thank you again, Erin. Bye, everybody.
Bye, y'all.